In a pleasantly surprising bit of news, Geoff Johns, Mr. DC, who was their famous chief creative officer for quite a few years, is moving out of that role to take a writing and producing deal with DC and Warner Brothers. He's going to start a studio called Mad Ghost Productions, I think, and he's going to make DC-focused content, TV, comics, and movies. Basically what he was doing before, but with a more hands-on, direct, role. And the first thing they say he's going to do, according to the Hollywood Reporter, is a Green Lantern Corps movie, which is fitting because Geoff Johns is a super Green Lantern fan. He's a super DC fan, but one of the first, DC books that he really wrote and moved up to prominence was Green Lantern. Also The Flash. Those, I think, were the first two DC books he did that he really elevated in terms of how fan love and their prominence in pop culture. Because I don't think a lot of people read Green Lantern or Flash until he wrote them during his respective runs. There were other writers too. I know The Flash, for example, was written really well, I think, by Mark Waid and other people before Geoff Johns came on board. But Geoff Johns really did a good thing for both those characters, both those franchises within DC, the Green Lantern and Flash franchises. He did Blackest Night and all this kind of stuff for, Green Lantern. He's a huge Hal Jordan fan. So that is heartening to me because we've wanted a Green Lantern Corps movie to get off the ground in this current era of DC movies, and it hasn't happened yet, and now it looks like he's the one to do it. Now, there are some potential drawbacks, and this could mean some things for the overall power structure of DC and Warner Brothers, which I'll get to later, but first, let's just focus on this, one thing at a time. Now, Geoff Johns, I think he's a force for good. I mean, he's had a hand in a lot of the CW DC shows, and Gotham and other shows, and, those have been mostly good. I know they do have their detractors, but I think those shows, for the most part, are good for DC and its characters. And, he was involved in the first Green Lantern movie with Ryan Reynolds in 2011 that didn't go well. And Justice League, he had a hand in that, and Justice League didn't go well with a lot of people too, and that was a really messy production. So a lot of people do blame him for certain things that have gone badly in DC. But in my opinion, when it comes to Green Lantern, the first one, and Justice League, I think that there were many cooks in the kitchen when it came to both of those projects. And I think that the blame could be passed around to different people, a bunch of people, and it was a bad situation. And there could have been times when he wasn't to blame at all, or he was one of multiple people to blame. And I think it's nice that he might now have a position, a relationship with DC where he can directly influence and really, really shape things the way he would like without having to worry about as much interference. So I'm going to say that because I'm a big fan of Geoff Johns and his writing and his work on DC, I think that there's a lot of good potential there. And he's been responsible for a lot of good things too that have already been happening with DC movies and TV and comics. So I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt and throw my support as a fan behind this move and say, thumbs up. I'm excited to see what he's going to do with Mad Ghost Productions and the Green Lantern Corps movie, and the future movies he's going to do with DC. This was just announced yesterday, and as you know, today is the day when the court is going to decide whether or not the AT&T Time Warner deal is going to go through, whether or not AT&T can purchase Time Warner in DC legally without, there being antitrust issues. And I don't think the timing is coincidental, so I'm wondering did Geoff try to get out, just in time before, AT&T takes control? Because if they do, they're going to own DC and Time Warner, and they might, with new management becomes new, reorganizations, a new power structure, that sort of thing. So maybe he was able to get this deal before maybe he's worried about getting axed with some other people. Because his old boss, Diane Nelson, who was the president of DC, I think she was just, exited out, or I think she was fired a little while ago, and she's not involved with DC anymore. And so maybe he kind of feels, and other people feel, that there's other stuff going to happen. There's probably a lot of people at DC and Warner Brothers who are a bit worried, happy and maybe worried too, what's going to happen if this deal goes through. And maybe Geoff tried to proactively move himself into a position before he could be on the chopping block. I don't know. But like I said, I'm a fan of his, I'm a fan of this decision, and so I'm cool with it. Now, Jim Lee is going to take his position now, that he previously had as chief creative officer, and work with Dan DiDio, or DiDio, I'm not sure how to pronounce Dan DiDio's last name. I think it's DiDio or DiDio. They're going to, basically, the two of them are going to run DC Comics together, as co-leaders, more or less. And Geoff is moving out of his role to be purely creative, mostly creative, with his producing deal with Mad Ghost Productions. But he's still going to be involved with TV, comics, and in movies. So how do you feel about Geoff Johns, who's a super DC fan, a super Green Lantern fan, and one of the best Green Lantern writers ever, having a direct, more powerful hand in the next Green Lantern Corps movie that's coming up? Thank you for watching. If you like this video, please like it on YouTube and subscribe to the channel because I appreciate your viewership. And I will talk to you soon. Bye.